I can't buy the air I breathe. I can't buy the trees. I can't buy the deepest seas. But it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.
Hello and welcome to Around the World in 88 Tales, and I'm back for this wonderful project sharing stories from all across the world with storytellers in many parts of the world. And now I'm delighted to say, Wangari the Storyteller. Hi Wangari.
Hi, David. Good to see you.
It's great to see you as well. And so what's happening in this project, Wangari, is I'm bringing beautiful and amazing objects from the museum here in Exeter and telling stories and seeing if you would like to also tell a story inspired by the same object. But before we begin today's story exchange, can I ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself as a storyteller? Wangari, I believe you're in Kenya. I think Wangari might be having a slight connection issue. So Wangari, you're back live. So can you tell us about yourself as a storyteller?
So, Wangari,
So Wangari is
Nairobi. I
I
am
think
Kenyan.
in Nairobi, and at the moment there's some internet glitch going on, Wangari. So try again. Now it seems to be okay. Try again.
Okay, so my name is Wangari Grace, but most people call me Wangari the Storyteller because I love stories. And I am fond of stories, whether it is in the oral, performed stories, whether it is in reading. And I love both sharing stories and also listening to stories. So this particular project I find very interesting in the sense that we know that culture is not just about the language, it's about the objects around us on a day-to-day basis. It's about the people. And I love the idea that we can tell stories that are based on one particular object, but share stories from different cultures, from different places, which is why I absolutely love this idea. And also, through this particular exchange, I am sure that by the time it's over, I will have been able to learn stories from very many different cultures. So thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this.
Thank you, Wangari. That's wonderful, and absolutely. And talking about across the world and different cultures, you're in Kenya. I'm in the UK. So let's have a quick look. So we've got Kenya in East Africa,
Yes.
UK up here, but we met at the Chennai Storytelling Festival in the south of India, although it was on Zoom because of course, the current situation of the pandemic in the world. So stories are really going global and international these days. So the object for today is a very beautiful artifact. There's a collection of many items from the natural history collection in the museum, and it's a butterfly from the extensive butterfly collection. So this is a blue morpho butterfly.
Ah, nice. I
Very
like it.
iridescent wings.
Mm-hmm.
This is. I'm going to show you a better image of that on my screen behind me. And it's wow, it's from South America, from French Guiana. This
Mm-hmm.
there we are. So that's a better image. French Guiana. This blue morpho butterfly was collected. It's called a Menelaus Blue Morpho Butterfly. It's such a fantastic iridescent blue with
Beautiful.
wings. Beautiful. So I'm going to tell a story that when I think of the word butterfly that I think of, and it's a story that I learned from a Japanese woman, a young Japanese woman called Satomi Endo. And a few years ago, she came here to Exeter to study English, and I was fortunate to be one of Satomi's English teachers. And as always, I ask my students, tell us a story, please, from where you come from. And not only did Satomi tell us a story, but she also said that I could tell and retell. In fact, she encouraged me to retell the story that she taught to me. And this is a popular Japanese folk tale. So what I'll do, Wangari, I'll tell you a story, and then afterwards, perhaps you will tell a story back. Fantastic. In Japanese, they begin the story, mukashi, mukashi, which means long, long ago. Everybody who's watching, whether you're watching live or the recording, and Wangari as well, can you say after me, mukashi, mukashi?
Mukashi, mukashi.
Long, long ago, there were 7 friends resting in the warm sunshine under a tree. They were talking about what they were afraid of. I am afraid of snakes, said the first. They move in zigzags. I'm afraid of foxes. Foxes turn into ghosts. I'm afraid of bats. Bats fly in the dark night. The next friend said, I'm afraid of spiders. They make sticky webs. I'm afraid of ants. They travel in long trails. I am afraid of caterpillars. They hide under leaves. Mr. Pine, what are you afraid of? Which creature are you afraid of? Mr. Pine was resting with his chin in his hand. I am afraid of nothing. Nothing, Mr. Pine? You must be afraid of something. What are you afraid of? Nothing. Aren't you afraid of snakes? If I find a snake, I'll wrap it round my head to keep me warm. Aren't you afraid of foxes? If a fox turns into a ghost, I'll make it my slave. Aren't you afraid of bats? I'll catch the bat and put it on a stick, use it as an umbrella. Aren't you afraid of spiders? I'll take its sticky web and mix it with my rice to make delicious Japanese natto. Aren't you afraid of ants? I'll take a handful of ants and sprinkle them on my food instead of sesame. Delicious. Aren't you afraid of caterpillars? They hide under leaves. If I find a caterpillar hiding under a leaf, I will watch and I will wait, and it will turn into a beautiful flying butterfly. What could be more beautiful than a butterfly? Mr. Pine, you must be afraid of something. What are you afraid of? Oh, I know. I am afraid. Oh, I am very afraid. I am afraid of Manju. Manju, Mr. Pine? What kind of creature is Manju? Oh, Manju's not a creature, said Mr. Pine. Manju are round, sticky, sweet Buns. Oh, I am afraid of Manju. I am afraid. Mr. Pine ran into the house. He closed the Japanese paper screen door. He lay down on the Japanese futon bed and hid under the covers, shaking with fear. The 6 other friends thought, we will play a clever trick. You know what they did? You know what they did. The 6 friends went to the market, to the Manju stall. They bought matcha Manju, taro Manju. They bought sesame Manju, buckwheat Manju, chestnut Manju, and sake Manju. Then they put the Manju on a plate. They brought the plate back to the house. They opened the paper screen door silently and crept inside. They put the plate of Manju next to the Mr. Pine's futon bed where he was hiding with his head covered, and then they crept outside and closed the screen. Wait, listen. Now, can you guess what happened? Everybody listening, you can write in the chat if you want to, whether you're watching live or the recording. Wangari, can you guess what happened?
I wonder if he saw the Manju. Maybe he was actually playing a trick on them and he actually loved the Manju.
Hey, you're a storyteller. You know about tricksters. You know about tricksters. They waited outside and they heard, oh no! Oh, Manju, I am afraid. I am matcha Manju. Taro Manju. Sesame Manju. Buckwheat Manju. Chestnut Manju. Oh, my favourite, sake Manju. The friends opened the door and came inside. Mr. Pine was wiping his mouth. He had just finished the last Manju. But Mr. Pine, aren't you afraid of Manju? No, said Mr. Pine. I forgot. I'm not afraid of Manju. They're delicious. Mr. Pine, what are you afraid of? A nice cup of tea? So
I love Mr. Pine.
So this is a traditional Japanese story. I learned it from Satomi Endo. Thank you very much, Satomi, and all my Japanese friends. I love Japanese stories. And, what are people saying on the chat? People are laughing. Ha 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 ha, says Tere. And so is Percy over in Brazil. He's laughing as well. So, fantastic story. Oh, great. Love it. Well, I'm looking forward to the story that Wangari the Storyteller. Will you share a story inspired by this butterfly or perhaps by the story that I told? Over to you.
Yes, I will share a story, and actually my story will have 2 of the characters in your story, which I find very interesting. And the story that I will share with you is written by a very good friend of mine. His name is Meshack Yobby, and he is not only a lover of stories, he's also a fantastic writer. And yes, he has already given me permission to tell this story in this particular session, and also in other sessions that I usually tell. And so the story goes. Amenipenda lazima anilete, upinde upinde wa mvua. Anayenipenda lazima anilete, upinde upinde wa mvua. Kipepeo the butterfly sat under a branch, singing over and over and over again. Kipepeo was a beautiful blue butterfly with dark boundaries, and she was absolutely gorgeous. And all the other animals in the forest loved being friends with Kipepeo. She was generous, She was kind, and she had a beautiful voice that would fill the forest every evening as she sang before she went to sleep. But Kipepeo the butterfly was sad, and Kipepeo the butterfly was lonely because she was not sure which of her friends liked her for being herself. She knew that indeed some of the animals liked her because, well, it always feels good to be associated with someone who looks very good, no? And of course, if someone is generous, they're likely to attract a number of friends around them. And Kipepeo the butterfly wondered who among her friends liked her for who she was. And so every evening before she went to sleep, she would sing, anayenipenda lazima anilete, upinde upinde wa mvua. Yes, the one who loves me should bring me the rainbow. And different animals in the forest thought, wow, if I was to bring the rainbow to Kipepeo, ooh, then I will be the best of friends. And they tried their luck. Simba, the lion, went to the forest and came with flowers, a bouquet of flowers with all the 7 colors of the rainbow. But as you can imagine, after a few days, the flowers wilted. The chameleon became very clever, went and came with a briefcase of cloth with all the different 7 colors and lay his body on it. And his body transformed into a beautiful rainbow. But of course, when he left, he was not a rainbow anymore. And Kipepeo the butterfly still waited for her rainbow. Now, living not so far from here was another animal who did not have many friends. Well, they thought that he was actually very weird because he loved to fly at night and not during the day like the other birds. And they thought that, well, he was not very beautiful, you know. But Aenya the bird loved Kipepeo, and he said that he would go and bring the rainbow. And when he told Kipepeo this, Kipepeo the butterfly was so happy and waited. Now, I know that we all see the rainbow high up in the sky, but do you know where the rainbow goes to sleep when it's not in the sky? It goes to sleep on top of one tall mountain. But as you can imagine, it's only available for a few hours or at most a few days. And Aenya the bat knew that he had to make haste to find the rainbow before it disappeared once again. And this time, he, contrary to his life, began flying during the day, going to look for the rainbow. And the other animals laughed because they wondered, does he really think he'll get the rainbow? And he was gone for hours. He was gone for days. He was gone for weeks. And still, he did not come back. And on the day when Aenya the bird came back, he looked dirty. His wings were torn. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. Oh, he did not look any good. If he looked bad before, he looked terrible this time. And the other animals came, and when they saw that he was empty-handed, oh, they laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed at him. If he had less friends before, now he didn't have any single friend. And Kipepeo the butterfly came, and her eyes fell when she saw him with no rainbow in his hands. And Aenya the bird said, I'm so sorry, Kipepeo. I was not able to bring you your rainbow. I'm so sorry that I did not keep my promise. But some of the other animals who were there spoke out. And the cricket said, Kipepeo the butterfly, I know why Aenya didn't bring you the rainbow. Well, he was late because he found me stuck in the mud, and he had to spend some hours digging me out of the mud. It is my fault that he did not find the rainbow when he went there. And the crocodile spoke and said, Kipepeo, it is my fault, because as Aenya was crossing the river, he found that I had a big bone in between my teeth. And he actually spent some time removing it from my teeth because it was so painful. And by the time I was giving him a ride across the river, it was too late. And the eagle who lived at the top of that big mountain spoke and said, I'm sorry, Kipepeo. It is actually my fault because I am the custodian of the rainbow. And when Aenya the bat came, he found that I was not feeling well. And he had to stay with me for days and days, nursing me back to health. And by the time I was getting better, the rainbow had already gone back to the sky. So I am sorry, it is my fault that he did not bring the rainbow. And Kipepeo the butterfly looked at Aenya the bat with a different look in her eyes, because she realized that even though he had not brought the rainbow from high up in the mountain, he had brought a different kind of rainbow in her life. Kindness, empathy for others, willingness to help. And she knew that this was one of the few genuine friends. Ananipenda lazima anilete upinde wa mvua.
What a beautiful story. A story not only about outer beauty, but inner beauty. That was absolutely fantastic. And tell us again the name of your creative Kenyan story writing friend who created that story.
His name is Meshack Yobby. And he is a beautiful writer. In fact, his book, he is writing a novel, and it is coming out this week. So if you are on Facebook, please look him out, Meshack Yobby, and if you can, order his book. I promise he is brilliant.
Brilliant. I'll be writing that name on the Facebook page very, very soon, and also it'll be on the YouTube information to go with this video. So you can watch this video again. You can watch this recording as a Facebook video, but also as part of the playlist for Around the World in 88 Tales at the web page on the Royal Albert Memorial Museum website. Mm-hmm. Wow, Wangari the Storyteller, that was absolutely fantastic. And I'm so glad that we managed not only to connect, but we managed to stay connected for the whole story and just experience.
Yes.
I loved the song. I love your singing and the energy and the beauty of your storytelling.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me here in this exchange program.
This is what we're doing, sharing stories from all around the world. And the next story shares, the next live story shares will be next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. UK time. So everybody out there, come and join us again for the next ones. Thank you so much.
I can't buy the trees, I can't buy the deepest seas, but it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.